Welcome to a special edition of Check-In. In keeping with the time of year, Nicole Fröhlich will check out regions and scenery that are particularly beautiful during the winter months. From the Erzgebirge, or Ore Mountains, in the east, to the Alps in the south, and the Berchtesgadener Land, and onto the Zugspitze, Germany's highest peak. Nicole begins in the Central European highlands, where ore mining has long since been replaced by tourism.
I'm in the eastern part of Germany, in Saxony, on my way to the Erzgebirge. The word means ore mountains, and it was the iron ore and silver that attracted people to these parts in the Middle Ages. Nowadays, the low mountain range is a popular tourist destination. In summer, it attracts hikers, and when the snow starts to fall, winter sports lovers start arriving.
Today I'll go skiing on the Fichtelberg, Saxony's highest mountain. I'll take a course in cross-country skiing, meet the area's biggest celebrity, and learn more about the challenges tourism has to face in this area of Germany.
Oberwiesenthal lies at the foot of the Fichtelberg. On its central square, there's a post milestone like those that have existed in many parts of Saxony since the 18th century, with information on distances and times it takes to walk to the surrounding villages. Oberwiesenthal is 914 meters above sea level and has about 2,500 residents. In addition, it welcomes 150,000 tourists a year. The best thing about Oberwiesenthal, the town starts right at the foot of the Fichtelberg slopes. Pretty crowded today. I wonder what made all these people come here. What makes the Erzgebirge special?
It's known for its warm-hearted people.
The beer is cheaper.
And it's close.
Yes, it is.
We've been coming for 17 years.
A good family slope.
Does that mean easy or a bit of everything?
Easy and hard combined.
We've often gone sledding on this big trail.
And how was it?
Nice.
Easier than skiing?
Yeah.
There's no way around it. I'm going to have to check out the Fichtelberg slopes for myself. The drop from the mountaintop to the valley is about 300 meters. Just the right kind of hill for an occasional skier like me. Well, that was a good warm-up, but now for the real challenge, a lesson in cross-country skiing.
First, let's see if the equipment fits properly. We can check the length of the poles. Okay, wonderful. Stay relaxed.
Cross-country skiing takes some practice.
I pick up my foot, my left foot, but not like that. Now we're basically on the diagonal. Then we try the whole thing with skis.
At least I have an expert here, former competitive skier Enrico Franke.
Now, just push your foot forwards. And when it clicks, you're in. And what do we have to move forwards? The stride, that's right. Now stride forwards.
Hop. Hop.
As you see, now we'll be going downhill slightly. Looks good. And if it gets too slow for you, shuffle forwards again. It's important to always keep smiling. And you can also hold the poles under your arms and just glide. That's it.
But how can I brake without falling?
All we can really do is practice falling down safely. If the situation gets really dodgy, only one thing helps: a controlled fall. I just let myself fall over and stretch out. But you should avoid needing to fall. Not in the tracks, you'll spoil them. Try to stay in between.
This is hard work.
Turn out your legs. Make a big V. The arms work the same as downhill. Well done.
Thank you.
Nicole, I've enjoyed teaching you cross-country skiing. It's been fun.
Tourism is the economic motor of the Erzgebirge. That's one reason they're proud in Oberwiesenthal that a former local boy is active here. I'm meeting Jens Weisflog, 3-time Olympic champion in ski jumping. After his career, he went into the hotel business. Guests can admire his old trophies in the display cases. You've been all over the world, but you decided to stay here, to stay at home. Why here and not somewhere out in the big wide world?
I think coincidences exist. Sometimes they're preordained. If I'd been a coach, I might have been working outside Oberwiesenthal. And then the hotel came along. After all that travelling around because of my sport, I was glad to find something down to earth.
Now, this building is more than 20 years old. I believe it has a pretty interesting history.
The building used to belong to the East German secret police, the Stasi. Locals called it the Mielke Home, and we bought it in 1995 and converted it and extended it within a year.
What do you consider the biggest challenges for tourism in the Erzgebirge?
The biggest challenges here are the winters ahead. So, thinking about how we can entertain holidaymakers when there's less snow or none at all. That's definitely the big question that all winter sports regions, not just low mountain ranges but alpine regions, have to answer because of climate change. Then there's the question of what attractions, what holiday activity options we can offer our guests when that happens.
Then we wish you lots of luck in finding the answers. Thank you.
Viel Glück, vielen Dank.
Vielen Dank, ich bedanke mich.
The last stop on my Erzgebirge trip is Annaberg-Buchholz, once a mining center. In the 16th century, the town was one of the biggest in Germany. Now, Annaberg-Buchholz is a small but lovely place with about 20,000 residents. In the winter, you should definitely check out the market square to skate on the ice and let the historical facades enchant you. The only question left to answer is, what's the local food like? Seems like the most typical dish is Neinala, a combination of 9 symbolic foods.
The milk and bread are for your complexion, the applesauce to keep you free from pain, and beetroot is for beauty. Bon appétit!
The lentils are to bring me money. And the roast meat, strength, of course. That was it already, and honestly, it was a very special trip. The region's culture and history have turned the Erzgebirge into a very interesting place, and on top of that, during the winter months, there's infinite fun to be had on as well as off the slopes.
The next stop on this special edition that features cold weather destinations is the Berchtesgaden region in southern Bavaria.
My My tour begins in the city of Berchtesgaden, which lent its name to the region. It's over 900 years old, and the architecture reflects its rich history. One building that really stands out is the Hirschenhaus on the market square. The murals on the facade depict ancient tales about Berchtesgaden. And a little further down the road, you'll find the lovely Schlossplatz, or Castle Square. I thought it would be nice to pay a visit to the national park. Here I've met up with Ranger Klaus Melde, and we're off to see if we can spot some golden eagles.
We'll have a good view from over there.
Really? Is it not too steep?
No, not at all.
Berchtesgaden National Park is the only national park in Germany inhabited by golden eagles. There are about 10 of them. From Klausbach Valley, we have a good view of the rocky crags.
If you look at the trees, the treetops up on the mountain, those are the places eagles like to perch. That's where you can best see them.
But there's no sign of them yet.
Well, looks like this is going to involve a bit of sitting, waiting, and wishing. An ideal time for you guys to dive a little deeper into the national park.
The gateway to Berchtesgaden National Park is Lake Königssee. Only environmentally friendly electric boats are allowed to travel the lake, which is almost 200 meters deep. Halfway across, the captain stops, because it's from here that the steep mountain flanks create the famous Königssee Echo. After about half an hour, the boats reach their destination, the Herschau Peninsula and St. Bartholomew's, an eye-catching 17th century Baroque pilgrimage church. The church lies at the foot of the Watzmann Massif. With a height of over 2,700 meters, the mighty mountain has come to symbolize the national park and the entire region. The national park consists of a core zone in which nature is left to itself. Then there's a maintenance zone where alpine meadows are cultivated and tourism is encouraged. Several information centers explain the park's flora and fauna. One of them, the Klausbach House, is the perfect starting point for a walk to the deer feeding station. When the rangers replenish the food supply, up to 60 red deer venture out from the shelter of the trees to feed, to the delight of visitors.
Da haben wir jetzt eine 60-fache Vergrößerung.
But the golden eagles are a bit shyer than the deer. We're still waiting.
Oh. Das sieht
Das heißt, ein Altvogel, wie alt ist der denn dann?
Weißt du, Tourismus und
There's no need to separate tourism and conservation. They go very well together. You see it on Königssee. 600,000 people visit St. Bartholomew's, and the lake water is so clean you can drink it. And that's because only electric boats are allowed on the lake. You have to compromise a little.
Was macht ihr denn
What do
hier
you do
noch
here
außer die
apart from
Steinadler?
watching eagles?
Steinadler beobachten machen wir.
Monitoring the golden eagles is only one thing we do. It's not our main task. An important part of our job is looking after tourists. We offer guided tours every day, and of course we rangers are often out somewhere in the park. We have 250 kilometers of trails in the national park, from barrier-free to steep alpine paths, and we check them on a regular basis to make sure they're in order. That's our job too.
Ach, das ist unser Job, ne?
Okay, that's enough talking for the moment. Let's see if our luck with the eagles has improved.
Look right in the middle. What do you see?
Er guckt
He's
her.
looking this way. There really is one.
Das ist wirklich ein Glück jetzt.
Cool.
Ja, ja.
And it gets even better. We see another one flying through the air. I want to explore even more of Berchtesgaden's nature, so I'm going snowshoeing. I've joined a group led by mountain guide Hans Rechler.
Dann fangst du mal
Why
bitte
don't
an,
you
Nicole.
start, Nicole?
Du steigst jetzt bitte einfach mal mit dem
Put your right
rechten
foot in the
Fuß
snowshoe,
in den Schneeschuh.
Ja.
Dann wird er hier
and we'll
fixiert.
buckle it on here.
Oh Gott.
Einfach die
Just tighten the binding until it fits comfortably.
und schon sitzt er gut. Seid bereit?
Ready?
Jawohl.
Let's
Dann
get
fahren
going.
wir's. Also was wichtig ist jetzt beim
One
Weggehen, wir
important
haben die
point,
Strecke,
we
wir
have
haben
our
den
poles and we're in our
breitbeinig
shoes, so
gehen,
walk with your legs far enough apart so you don't step on the poles or your other shoe.
Ein
One
großer
big
Schritt
step and we're
und
off.
schon sind wir drin in der Freiheit. Ja, dann genießen
Let's
wir doch
stop for a
einmal einen Blick
minute
in die
and look at the
Erde.
mountains.
Wenn wir hier gleich den unseren
Look at the
letzten
next one
anschauen,
over
der
with the
schön
sun
mit
shining on it,
schneebedeckt
covered
ist,
in
von der
snow.
Sonne beschienen.
That's the
Das
Hohe
ist der
Göll.
Hohe Göll.
It's over
Der ist
2,500
über
meters high.
2500 Meter hoch.
The amazing thing about snowshoeing is the fact that you literally get to walk off the beaten path on completely untouched snow with views that cannot be beat. The next item on my itinerary is a visit to the oldest gentian distillery in Germany.
Hi, here for a tour of our distillery?
I thought I'd taste my way through your range of products. This distillery has been around since 1692. Gentian is an alpine plant that is cultivated in Berchtesgadener Land and distilled to make a bitter schnapps. To be precise, it's the root that's used.
The root looks like this when it comes out of the ground. It's 4 or 5 years old and about 80 centimeters long.
The roots are chopped and mashed. Then the liquid is extracted and distilled into schnapps.
So here we are at the tasting. You can try all our company's most popular products. First, of course, is gentian, our primary product, just from the root. A clear, strong spirit, no residual sugar, 40% by volume.
Prost. Oh.
It's pungent because of the bitters, but it has a well-rounded taste.
Oh, holla.
That's the gentian, the strength of the mountains.
Later in the afternoon, I treat myself to a drive through the mountains on the Rossfeld Panoramic Road. I have to pay an €8 toll to drive along it. After just a few kilometers, I can say it's well worth it. Behind every curve, there's another amazing view of Austria and the Berchtesgadener Land.
And our final destination on this special edition of Check-In. Also in Bavaria, about 200 kilometers further west, the Zugspitze. At 2,962 meters, it's Germany's highest mountain peak.
Wow! Now I understand why 500,000 people come up here every year. What a view! The panorama stretches out from the Dolomites all the way to the Swiss Alps. Time to hit the slopes. I've arrived at the glacier ski area on the Zugspitze. It's only about 300 meters below the peak. If you've come all the way up here without your gear, don't worry. You can rent it all right next to the slope.
so white, and all the snow around me is completely natural. There are no snow cannons here on the Zugspitze, so the conditions for skiing couldn't be better.
But the Zugspitze is much more than just a tourist destination. A lot of research goes on up here. At the weather station, meteorologists collect data about climate change. Hello, I'm looking for Mr. Demmer.
That's me.
I believe we have a date.
Ja.
It's a tight squeeze.
You can say that again.
Georg Demmer has worked on the Zugspitze for the past 40 years. Mr. Demmer, you've been observing the weather for many years now. What does the data tell us? How have the conditions evolved around this area?
Well, we've been collecting data since 1900 when the station was built. In the past 30 years, we've been able to determine that temperatures are rising sharply. During that time, there's hardly been a single year where the temperatures were below the average. In fact, they've almost all been too warm, and that trend is continuing.
Does this increased temperature impact the glacier?
The glacier's been shrinking drastically for many years now. What you see here is just a remnant of what it once was. And we expect that if the warming continues like this, that in 20 to 25 years the glacier will disappear completely.
What does that mean for the area? Could you picture the Zugspitze without the glacier?
Well, of course, it's going to look pretty boring, because instead of ice, we'll just have more scree and stone. We have plenty of that anyway, but there'll be more. And it just doesn't look very good. It's boring. It'll be worse for skiers, because the glacier is used for skiing, and that'll be bad for the ski business.
Do you spend any of your spare time up on the Zugspitze? Do you ski?
Oh yes, I ski. And on a day like this, if I'm not too exhausted from my shift, I pick up my skis and get out on the slopes a bit. I'll also ski up onto the glacier and measure the snow level. Take a reading of the overall depth. I'd guess that on a day like today, the sunshine will have lowered it by about 5 centimeters.
Well, have a great day. Thanks for meeting me. It was a pleasure. Everybody's heading back into the valley at this time of day, but I'm staying. I've got a cool plan. A night surrounded by ice and snow.
Welcome to the Igloo Village, and welcome to our bar. There's some art on the walls and corridors, like this reclining Buddha. And this is our first igloo. It's pretty big.
So, I guess this is my bedroom. Good thing the ice blocks are covered in sheepskin because it's pretty cold. Freezing, to be precise. But there are plenty of ways to warm up. This 40-degree outdoor jacuzzi is probably the most spectacular one. Quite a strange feeling going to bed at 2,600 meters, but a thick sleeping bag should help. Wow, this is truly breathtaking. Early in the morning, the Igloo adventurers have the entire mountain to themselves. This more than makes up for the rough night we all had.
I do have to say it was really quite chilly in the igloo tonight, and it took me some time to get used to the thin air up here, but the scenery makes it all worthwhile.